Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today I have Alliance War number 9. My alliance is pretty close to Plat 3, so we're pushing pretty hard. I'm going to be moving into this Venom fight with Omega Red. I am bringing a full Omega Red synergy team with Red Guardian and Sabretooth. So first up, we've got Venom. Now this is Venom on a Strike Fury. If you eat a special 2, that'd be rough. That's really the only thing that comes to mind. Otherwise, this is not really a crazy fight. So I'm going to have my heavy hit, my medium 4 lights, and my double medium before I really started triggering the Furies on this guy. But at this point, he's almost dead. I'm still at full health. Going to go in for my combo and finish him off. This isn't a hard path. It's been gifted to me because of like the Mixmaster Korg and some of the mini bosses that I take with Omega Red. So it really helps me conserve items, and I do appreciate that. So I know I make light of those fights, but it's because other people in my alliance have taken the harder paths. Next up, we have this Killmonger, and at this point, I decided to just push through to open up section 2. It's an arc overload here. It's really not the worst of buffs to have up. There's no like extra health or anything. I do accidentally trigger stubborn there, but a nice quick parry lets me drop my spores as well. Actually worked out to my advantage. Here I'm going to push him up to a special 2, relock my spores in for a ton of damage, and then dex a special 2. Now I could have taken that in a blocked hit, but I opted not to because I'm not really worried about this guy staying alive for too long. And you can see here I'm just going to combo into him. Killmonger is actually a really solid placement there, just in general, because it could be a lot of blocked hits needed to take. Killmonger does have a lot of extra power gain. It's not the worst, you know, mini boss to have there, but there's also not like a ton of options that really work well with there. So I'd say for diversity, probably pretty solid placement. Next up, I have the Mixmaster Korg. I do have a 30% boost active. I'm going to pop a special 1 start boost because I just have some in overflow. The war season's almost over, so I'm like, might as well use them. So I'm going to jump into this Korg fight. Do get a bit of lag. And this Mixmaster Korg, it's essentially a test of like how much are you paying attention. You do have to be mindful of the restore. You can see there where he drops the stun, and if they're running max limber, it can make stunning him very unreliable, especially if you're trying to lock your spores in. And then from there, it's just about alternating combos. I'm going to drop my special 2 super early here. And you're going to see here he goes super passive, very unfortunate for me, and I don't get the heavy counter. It was kind of a gamble because he is up against the wall, but it was a gamble I opted to take. It didn't work out in my favor. Here he's going to throw a special 1. I do have that degen on him, so I opt to take the full chip damage and just take the block hits to the face. Here he's going to go straight into it again. I was kind of hoping he wouldn't because I needed to relock my spores in. Very unfortunate. You can see here, super aggressive with the special 1s. I do trigger the evade, but a quick parry means I don't have to worry about punishment. That's like the biggest thing about Mixmasters. You just gotta make sure you're looking out for, is the evade gonna trigger? Because if you know it's going to, you need to follow up with a light or a parry to make sure you're not getting punished. And if you trigger the evade when he has special, you absolutely have to parry. I'm going in to tap on his block there. I go unblockable, so I'm able to get my combo in. I'm one of those people who's just not afraid to hit into Korg because I will dex the unblockable specials if I have to, and they're not that hard to dex. And I'm not too concerned about him going unblockable, unstoppable. Not that much at least, as long as he's got some kind of bar of power. Next up is this Invisible Woman on path 2. I haven't healed up all the way. I'm actually trying to heal up on this fight. I take that heavy to the face. Just slow reactions on my part. I really don't have any excuse. And then I tried to hit her while she was invisible. Just poor playing. Really poor playing. So I was trying to heal up on this fight. I am going to end on a special 1, and it doesn't quite finish her. So even the healing I got there is minimized. And it ended up being really counterintuitive. Just sucks. I do end up getting the full bonus. It's not a hard fight, but damn, I almost died, and it's excess potions I really didn't want to spend, so that's unfortunate. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Next up, I have a Human Torch here, so I am going to be forced to heal up here because I don't want to make a mistake again, take a combo to the face, and then die. So much for resource conservation, but that's not a big deal. I am relatively well stacked on potions, although at this time in the war season I'm actually buying 2 of the level 4 potions a day. which hurts, but it is what it is, and I think it's going to be worth it if we can secure Plat 3, and I'd rather gamble towards Plat 3 than be someone holding us back, especially since I like that little bit of competitive flair. I am going to full block this special 1, just because I'm not worried about the chip damage at this point. I'm not trying to go for crazy heal. You can see here the power stings do hurt a lot, and I throw my special 1. I get a little bit more health back, and it ends on the special 1, so solid there. Nothing really crazy about the Invisible and Human Torch fights there. Pretty simple fights. Next up is this Sentinel. Someone else jumped in and then kind of got memed a little bit, so I'm going to jump in with Red Guardian. At this stage, we're pretty confident in our ability to secure the war. Otherwise, I probably would have waited because this is not an ideal Red Guardian fight. Essentially, if you're not rotating specials, you're going to eventually become like inverted power gain, which is not good for Red Guardian because he is a special 2 champion. So you can see here I've got multiples of those reduced power gains. I'm going to drop my L1 to kind of help mitigate that, but do need to do this fight essentially powerless from this point on, because you're going to see here once I go through my next rotation of attacks, like if I L1 here it would be good, but it's so little damage with Red Guardian, it's really not ideal for me. And you're going to see here, once I go through my rotation of hits, I'm actually going to start inverted power. So from here, it's just a matter of taking Sentinel on essentially with no specials. And Red Guardian, at the time here, is only rank 4. This fight is actually the fight that convinced me to rank 5 my Red Guardian. Just like the damage difference is oppressive between rank 4 and rank 5. And it's not something I really notice in any content except for War. And you see here I mistime a Dex on a special 2 and get completely obliterated. Now a rank 5 still would have happened, but a rank 5 at least I would have gotten more chip damage in. Next up we have a Rage thing. So I'll be jumping with Omega Red here as well. And again, we've got a pretty solid lead in the war so far. I'm going to just speed up a little bit because I do believe that I spent a lot of time going through boosts. And this thing, it's a pretty frustrating fight if you accidentally trigger too many rages, and it actually works, I think, to my favor that it's a 6-star, and it's one of those weird scenarios where not being awakened, he doesn't get the protection when I knock him down, comma parry him, and because he's not getting that protection, a lot of my parry heavies are triggering extra furies, and that could have gone south for me very, very quick, and you'll see that in a brief moment. Essentially, like, he would be tankier if he was awakened, but because he's not, he gains the Furies off of some of my crits. So you can see here, medium crit there does trigger the Fury. That's okay, I can get up to 5 of those before I'm deep trouble. From here, I'm just going to force block. I want to keep as many spores up on him as possible and keep the degens. So here you can see I go in for another combo as well, a force block. I don't know why I'm not throwing heavy. I'm just like not confident in the window. Now he's at a 15 stack, so now I need to dex the special 1. He does throw it. Luckily I don't trigger the stubborn for some reason, not entirely sure. So I'm able to get a solid cheeky heavy counter off. I throw my special 2 to get that proximity damage, and now I'm going back into my rotation of locking in the spores and climbing up rock stacks. I bring him up to 15, and here I just need to dex a special 2. I hit into the block twice. That last one was greedy, but the other one probably not as much considering the proximity. Now I need him to throw the special 2. He's been really stingy with the specials this fight, which is pretty unfortunate for me. You can see here it's a lot of close dexing. He finally throws it, which is good for me. I'm actually going to double hit because a lot of times with Omega Red you do that double hit and they go straight in, so I'm able to parry heavy, lock in my degen damage. Here I'm going to stall out and lock in another heavy. It's actually really, really nice. I think this person is only running 1 point in Limber as far as I'm concerned. There I didn't need to heavy, but he's like almost dead, so I went for a really, really heavy, hoping it would lock in the spores. No, it was just wishful thinking at that point. He does throw his special. I only have 2 more hits, locking the degens, and here it's just a matter of stall. Worked out great. Otherwise I would have been in some deep trouble just because of like the way I had juggled the power, but that's okay, he was almost dead. Next up we have a Nick Fury. And I think I dance around a little bit on this one as well. So this is Hurt Locker, Power Focus 1, Enhanced Special 1. Can't bring a champion who's super reliant on specials, and because he's Power Focus 1, if you let him throw a lot of special ones, he can go unblockable really quick. So here I'm going to parry, force block, so he punishes me into my block, get a re-parry, and then lock in the spores once they're above 10. It's kind of a cheeky play, but if the AI is aggressive, it actually works really, really well, and Nick Fury in general is a more aggressive defender. So I was pretty confident it would work, and it did. Here I'm going to lock in the degens. The ideal here is for me to actually get a heavy in right before he activates the next life. Didn't work out in my favor. I dropped my L2 thinking I'm punishing him, and I end up getting punished instead. Most unfortunate, but from here, it's just a matter of waiting, staying close, and locking my degen on a heavy counter, because he didn't kill me with that punishment from my L2. But the degen is absolutely chucking him off. I get a solid strike counter on that medium end from Nick Fury, and that combo does it. It's just a scenario where Omega Red can work really, really well. Really well. As long as everything works in your favor. If you can get a degen with high spore count when he's in his extra life. So next up, I have the Thing boss. Now, I haven't really got to try this boss. I've seen it. It looks brutal, and we really just need to take the boss out. So I am going to boost up because I just wanted to try the fight boosted up with a bit extra health. Primarily extra health because the damage isn't going to do too much. It's a lot of degen. And I think I popped the 20% here as well. Nope, I do not. Okay. Honestly, a lot of health is really, really needed. It's a lot of chip damage, and having the 6-star is really, really nice. And this is one of the few fights where I would actually consider sigging up my Omega Red, and I'll explain why in a moment. But you can see here, I need to immediately heavy counter to lock the spores in. From there, it's a series of re-parries to get my opening off of a strike counter, which works out pretty well. Another heavy bait into a heavy counter, so now I've got above 12 spores. It's been a lot of work. I tried to punish the heavy there, just brain fart on my part. I'm going to heavy counter the L1, really, really solid spacing on that. And here, I've just got only 10 spores locked in. I accidentally dexed the last part of that, but I am going to properly strike counter here, and thankfully, he is super aggressive with the L1. I can lock in my heavies again, and this is the fight. Now I'm in this corner, like trouble issue where I'm in the corner and kind of stuck. So I'm going to build up to an L3. That's really the ideal. He's going to throw this L1. I'm going to, I think, bring him up to 13 so I can essentially do a 1-hit heavy and then special 3. This will bring him up to 15 stacks, give me a little bit of health, none pretty much here because I have like no spores, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. It's more about spacing, but most importantly, it gives me spacing on the fight. So now I should hopefully get some control. He goes straight into an L1, which I'm going to punish, working fairly well for my advantage. I'm going to heavy counter the heavy again, and at this stage, the fight's actually like reasonably in my control. Throws the L1, nice and aggressive. Here, you're going to see me, I'm trying to get a strike counter. I'm too slow. Because I went in for it, he throws his L1, and I only have 3 hits to bring him up to another L1. I'm going to lock the heavies, and here I need to find a block opening, and I thought that was it. I really thought that was it, but now I have an extra 3 hits. I go to punish this one, and you can see I'm getting a little lag, and the L1 dex failed. Now, it's my fault. Totally not my fault, but I really did feel like it was a lag spike there, and you can even see it in the video, like how bad that lag spike was, but that's okay. I did get him down to 10%, next person jumped in and finished him off. That's pretty rough. And if you lose control of the rock stacks and the special baiting, or he's really passive, it can be pretty rough. And that fight is one where you really want Omega Red high sig. Like, in all of these other war fights, you can see I just delete opponents. I build up to 27, 30 spores, lock them in, get this crazy big degen, and they just delete. This is an example of a fight where having a low sig Omega Red really hurts. Because a big part of my evaluation on Omega Red sig damage was under the impression you can keep a high spore count, because then your degen damage is up to 3 times as potent as the 10 spore degen, which is crazy. But on this fight, you're constantly locking in a 10 spore count on the Thing, which means essentially your locked in degen is very weak in comparison to its maximum potency. It's a third as strong as it could be, and your sig level damage as a result, is going to be proportionately larger of your damage per second. So this is one of the few fights where I actually really do wish I had a higher Sigil Mega Red. I could do it, but because we still won this war without me needing the higher Sigil Mega Red, I'm not there yet. But that said, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to y'all later.